Food insecurity and nutrition remains a cause of concern in Namibia. To find a solution to this challenge, the Hardap region is embarking on a multi-sectoral approach to address the situation. The first stage entails initiating a program to assess the challenges faced in the region in order to come up with appropriate solutions. This episode of Inside Namibia looks at the efforts being made by the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, Hardap Regional Council, World Food Programme, and relevant stakeholders to boost agricultural production and food security in the region. When it comes to agriculture, the Hardap region mainly depends on small-scale subsistence farming with goats and sheep. Commercial farming practices include vegetable, fodder, and milk production, making Hardap region a potential hub for agricultural produce for home consumption and export market. However, Hardap is among the regions which continues to suffer severe acute food insecurity because of the increasing number of people experiencing food shortage, livestock losses, and low household purchasing power. Their situation is worsened by the recurring drought, low rainfall, and water shortage, which led to a below-average agricultural production since 2019. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the household income also increased their vulnerability to food insecurity and poor nutrition. In order to find solutions to the challenges, the role players needed to familiarize themselves with the regional profile when it comes to food security.
The integrated food security phase classification places us in the crisis category, which requires urgent humanitarian action and interventions. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, over 60,000 livestock were lost in 2019 alone. Northwestern and southern regions are mostly affected. Livestock and product sales are the key sources of income for farmers and in fact the main economic activity for the region. And therefore low income and purchasing power is limiting households to access food. We don't have anything to sell, we can hardly produce, and therefore the subtotal of all these things together, the nexus of all these problems getting together is just becoming uncontrollable for us in Hardap region.
Various stakeholders also presented their activities and findings related to food security and nutrition, which is imperative in the assessment process. The presentations by the regional stakeholders revealed the region's ongoing and earmarked projects, which are aimed at reversing the challenges of food insecurity and nutrition.
Grants to children that are vulnerable and orphans. The age of majority has changed with the new act, and so the grant ceased at 18, even if a child is in school.
We will need to strengthen our institutional structures so that we are able to not just react, but be proactive in terms of our planning. And the Hardap Regional Council, and specifically the Directorate of Planning, certainly looks forward to such a process where we can work together to make sure that we have a long-term plan and not just respond when crises hit us.
And we really want to implore on the structures of the Regional Disaster Risk Management Committee to really work beyond particulars when they are doing this work, so that those people really get assistance. We, from the Office of the Prime Minister, we stand ready to be able to work with the Regional Disaster Risk Management Committee to make sure that we offer that assistance where it is needed.
Among the activities presented was the sustainable utilization of available water resources to boost agricultural production, increase nutritious produce, farmers' access to market, and investment in innovative and diverse farming practices to generate income.
WFP is working with some regions already, and we will also work with your region on some market system studies. We will work together to find out how the market is available to provide access for those who are growing food and they don't have a place to sell, or how do you stimulate growth of food by having a good market? Because people say, oh, even if I grow cabbage, I don't have a place to sell it. So that's one area that we are going to work in, and Madam Director, as you say, around building resilience, that is part of resilience. The partnerships that we've seen in most places, government, private sector, academia, I think we'll work with academia also to give us a bit of evidence building, because intellectuals sometimes help us better to present more credible data and credible information.
The World Food Programme also offers technical support to many development programs in the country, such as the school feeding program, which was first piloted in Hardap Region.
The second thing that we as the World Food Programme would be extremely supportive of is providing support within the nutrition space, because there are certainly challenges across the country, but also looking at food systems. Food systems, the principle of food systems is looking at farming from end to end, from the time you get the seed, the technology that you use, post-harvest handling and management, processing, and then accessing the market.
To get first-hand information on the current situation in the region, a team of agricultural experts accompanied the World Food Programme and regional stakeholders to different agricultural and water resources sites to assess the possible interventions required to ensure productivity and food security.
So this farm can also then be converted into one that produces fodder, the hydroponics, etc., which we are advocating for farmers to do it at the household level. But then we also have this one. Then of course, this farm was also an olive farm where they produced olives, and there were also orchards. These are long-term investments, and then the dates also long-term investments. But most importantly, also then the vegetables that we can produce on this farm to feed Hardap, to feed the country. This tree can also be used for the lodges, the decks, and things like that. We can also use that bark to make poles, to rehabilitate the fencing. So an opportunity exists where there is an invasive species such as the Rosobis tree.
We should graduate now from just getting the bags of finished stuff. We must start to think about producing our own food. I appreciate COVID for that part. You know, it made us to realize that when borders are closed, you can hardly survive. So we don't know what's going to come again. We don't really desire to have those kind of things, but we need to be ready in order to feed ourselves.
The team also visited Davep Group Resettlement Farm to discuss their challenges and solutions which will enable the beneficiaries to farm on a large scale and graduate to become commercial farmers.
I think they cannot get water because water is here driven through the wind.
So ons soek ons kan solar panele om die water. Soos baie dames by amper ons kan vanaf onder die nat.
They could not water the plants today because the dam is empty, the wind is quiet, so therefore they actually desire to have a solar driven water system.
The water table is drastically also dropped. That's why they have a bit of water problems here.
But are you sure, Mohammed Amakali, are you sure that this is only to do with the fact that the wind is probably not so promising? Are you not necessarily certain, but you think really the solar system will change things around because the water under table water is still okay? Or I'm just asking this question because we don't want to invest in something if it's not really
No, it will.
That's not the problem. And obviously you are close to the main river stream, so you have got the enough underground water availability.
Adaptation to climate change and introduction of modern farming practices are also identified as required initiatives to reverse food insecurity among the Hardap inhabitants.
That is the barley grass what we are using. Which can grow within 7 days. 7 days. And after the 7 days of 6 days, the farmers are producing. From the 4th days, you can give to chickens, and if it reaches 6 days, then you can give to also the others. Certain group A, group B, and the farmers are coming according to the program that they have to collect their seeds.
What we have really observed is also that fodder production is made easier by the use of hydroponic. You use less water, use less infrastructure, and with that you can sustain the cohort, especially during the hardest dry season that we got.
The World Food Programme representatives were impressed with the efforts of the regional government, technical teams, and communities for their initiatives in supporting the drive towards zero hunger in Namibia.
That is always a good start when you are trying to address sustainable solutions against hunger. And that is one area that as World Food Programme will work closely with the regional government and also the communities to harness that strength towards sustainable solutions. So in the next few weeks, we'll be sitting down together with the government and partners, because there are very many partners already working here. We have our sister organization, FAO, who is already working with farmers on provision of seeds and extension service, technical cooperation. So we'll work with these partners to move to the next level.
With the current interventions in the region, many Hardap inhabitants are equally awaiting for financial and technical assistance to undertake their agricultural projects. This will enable them to improve on their farming practices, to generate income, and contribute to the production of the much-needed nutritious food. The successful implementation of these agricultural income-generating projects and programs will ultimately reduce the dependency on other regions and elevate Namibia's food security status.